Los Angeles Dodgers fans have been paying close attention to the evolution of young talent across Major League Baseball, and one of the most fascinating things about this game is watching how a player grows from his early struggles into someone who can truly impact a team. That transformation doesn't always happen overnight. In fact, most players need time to adjust to the speed, pressure, and expectations that come with playing at the highest level. When a prospect first arrives in the majors, the spotlight can feel overwhelming. Pitchers are sharper, defenders are quicker, and every mistake is magnified. But what makes baseball so compelling is seeing which players learn from those moments and take the next step forward. Last season gave us a perfect example of that kind of development. Early on, there were questions about consistency and whether the production would match the potential. But as the season progressed, the growth became impossible to ignore. By the time the playoffs arrived, the same player who once looked like he was still adjusting suddenly became one of the most dangerous bats in the lineup. Power started to show up in a big way. Confidence grew with every at-bat, and opposing pitchers clearly understood that they were no longer facing an inexperienced hitter. The ability to step up in high-pressure moments is something that separates good players from those who can truly change the outcome of games. One of the things that often gets overlooked when discussing young players is how little time they have actually spent in the majors. Fans sometimes expect immediate dominance, but the reality is that development is a process. Many of these players are still figuring out how to approach different pitchers, how to adjust during long stretches of the season, and how to stay productive when opposing teams begin to study their tendencies. The jump from the minor leagues to Major League Baseball is enormous, and even the most talented prospects require time to refine their approach at the plate. That is why it is important to separate the excitement of playoff performances from the realities of the regular season. When the postseason begins, emotions run high, and players sometimes deliver incredible moments that make them look unstoppable. But over the course of a full season, consistency is what truly defines a player's value. A hitter might explode during a short playoff run, but the real test comes from maintaining strong production across months of games, constant travel, and the relentless challenge of facing elite pitching staffs night after night. What stands out when looking at the development of certain young hitters is how subtle mechanical adjustments can completely change their effectiveness. A slight shift in timing, a different approach to pitch selection, or even a minor adjustment in how the body rotates through the swing can unlock power that was not fully visible before. Coaches play a huge role in that process. The hitting staff works closely with players to analyze every movement, every swing path, and every decision made at the plate. Over time, those small corrections can transform a promising prospect into a legitimate offensive threat. One adjustment that has caught the attention of many observers involves the way a hitter opens his body during the swing. In earlier stages of development, some players remain very tight through their core, which can limit how long the bat stays in the hitting zone. But when a player begins opening up slightly earlier, the result can be dramatic. The bat stays through the zone longer, contact becomes more consistent, and the natural strength of the hitter begins to translate into real power. Suddenly, balls that used to be weak flyouts start traveling deep into the gaps or clearing the fence entirely. Power numbers naturally draw attention, but the conversation around offensive value has been evolving. While home runs will always be exciting, teams are increasingly focusing on a more balanced approach at the plate. Getting on base, extending innings, and creating opportunities for the lineup are just as important as launching the occasional long ball. A player who can combine solid power with the ability to reach base consistently becomes far more valuable to a team's overall offensive strategy. That balance is something many hitters strive to achieve. There is always the temptation to swing for the fences, especially in a league where home runs dominate highlight reels. But experienced players understand that every situation calls for a different approach. Sometimes the team needs a big swing, but other times the smartest play is simply putting the ball in play, driving a line drive into a gap, or advancing a runner in a scoring position. Baseball has always been a game of adjustments, and the best hitters are those who can read the moment and respond accordingly. For teams with championship ambitions, This type of situational awareness becomes incredibly important. A lineup full of hitters who understand how to move runners, extend innings, and apply constant pressure to the opposing defense can wear down even the best pitching staffs. Instead of relying solely on the home run, the offense becomes more dynamic. One player reaches base, another follows with a well-placed hit, and suddenly the momentum shifts in a matter of moments. When you look at the direction many organizations are heading, it feels like there is a renewed appreciation for that style of baseball. Power hitters remain essential, but there is growing recognition that a lineup built entirely around the long ball can become predictable. Mixing power with contact, discipline, and smart situational hitting creates a far more dangerous offense. Pitchers are forced to work harder, defenses are put under pressure, and games can quickly spiral out of control for the opposing team. For a young hitter trying to establish himself in the league, finding the balance between aggression and patience is often the key to unlocking his full potential. Learning which pitches to attack and which ones to let go by is a skill that develops over time. Early in a player's career, the instinct is often to swing at anything that looks close to the strike zone. But as experience builds, discipline improves. The hitter begins recognizing patterns, anticipating pitch sequences, and waiting for the moment when he can deliver his best swing. That evolution at the plate does more than improve statistics. It builds trust within the lineup. Teammates know they can count on that player not just to swing hard, but to make smart decisions in critical situations. Whether it is drawing a walk to keep an inning alive or driving a ball into the outfield to bring a runner home, those moments become the foundation of a productive offense that can compete deep into the season. As the conversation shifts toward the pitching side of the game, things become even more interesting when a team suddenly finds itself with an abundance of options. For most organizations around Major League Baseball, the challenge is usually the opposite. Teams spend the entire offseason searching for reliable arms, hoping to build a rotation strong enough to survive the grind of a long season. But every once in a while, a roster develops a situation where there are simply more capable pitchers than there are rotation spots available. When that happens, the debate inside the clubhouse and among fans becomes fascinating. Depth in the starting rotation is one of the most valuable assets a team can have. Over the course of a season that stretches across months of travel, countless innings, and physical wear on the body, injuries and fatigue are almost inevitable. Having multiple pitchers who can step into the rotation without a major drop in performance allows a team to remain competitive even when adversity strikes. It is the kind of luxury that contenders rely on when the schedule becomes relentless and every series begins to feel like a playoff preview. The Dodgers have built their identity around exactly that philosophy. For years, the organization has prioritized pitching depth, stacking the roster with arms capable of starting games, eating innings, and keeping the team in a position to win. That strategy has paid off repeatedly. Instead of scrambling for replacements when injuries occur, the team can adjust smoothly, bringing in another capable pitcher who is ready for the moment. When you look at the current group of starters competing for innings, it becomes clear why there is so much discussion about how the rotation will ultimately be structured. Several pitchers have proven track records, while others are still emerging talents who are eager to prove themselves over a full season. Each of them brings something slightly different to the table, whether it is overpowering velocity, elite command, or the experience that comes from years of competing at the highest level. One of the biggest questions surrounding a deep pitching staff is whether the team will consider a six-man rotation. Traditionally, most clubs rely on a five-man system, but there's been a noticeable shift in recent years. With pitchers throwing harder than ever and workloads being carefully monitored, some teams have experimented with giving starters an extra day of rest. The idea is simple. If pitchers remain fresher throughout the season, their performance can remain more consistent and the risk of injury may decrease. Implementing a six-man rotation is not always easy, though. It requires careful planning, strong bullpen management, and pitchers who are willing to adjust their routines. Many starters are creatures of habit. They prefer knowing exactly when their next start will come and structuring their preparation around that schedule. Changing that rhythm can be uncomfortable at first, But if the staff buys into the concept, it can become a powerful advantage over the course of the season. Another factor that complicates these decisions is the presence of veteran pitchers who have already established themselves in the league. Players with long careers and proven success naturally expect to play important roles on the team. They have earned that respect through years of performance, and their experience can be invaluable in guiding younger pitchers through the challenges of a demanding season. Balancing those expectations with the development of emerging arms becomes a delicate task for the coaching staff. At the same time, young pitchers who are beginning to make their mark are eager for opportunities. Every start represents a chance to prove that they belong at this level. These players often bring incredible energy and confidence to the mound, attacking hitters with the belief that they can dominate any lineup in the league. When a young pitcher starts building momentum, the organization has to carefully decide how to manage that progress without overwhelming him too early. One possible solution that teams have used in the past involves rotating certain pitchers in and out of the lineup, depending on matchups, workload, and overall performance. Some weeks a veteran might take the ball, while in others a younger pitcher gets the opportunity to step in and showcase his ability. This type of flexibility allows the team to evaluate multiple options while keeping everyone fresh as the season unfolds. The bullpen also plays a critical role in making a deep rotation work effectively. When several pitchers are capable of starting games, some of them may temporarily shift into relief roles. These pitchers can become incredibly valuable because they provide length out of the bullpen, covering multiple innings when a starter exits early or when the team needs stability during a difficult stretch of games. Having that kind of versatility strengthens the entire pitching staff. For a championship contender, these decisions are never just about the first month of the season. The coaching staff is always thinking several steps ahead. How will the rotation look in the middle of the summer when fatigue begins to set in? Who will still be strong and healthy when the postseason arrives? Managing innings early in the year can make a massive difference later, especially for pitchers who are expected to carry the team through crucial playoff games. The Dodgers have shown time and time again that they are willing to adapt their strategy in order to maximize the talent on the roster. Some seasons call for traditional structures, while others require creativity and flexibility. What matters most is ensuring that the team has the strongest possible pitching staff when the games matter the most. With so many capable arms competing for opportunities, the organization finds itself in a position that many teams would envy. As spring games continue and pitchers build up their workloads, every outing becomes another piece of the puzzle. Coaches study velocity, command, movement, and how each pitcher responds to pressure situations. Players know that every inning matters because strong performances can influence how the rotation ultimately takes shape once the regular season begins. The competition remains intense, but it is the kind of internal battle that strengthens a team and pushes everyone to perform at their best as the season approaches. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Whispers around the international scouting circuit have begun to swirl after an unexpected scene involving the Los Angeles Dodgers and one of the most coveted teenage prospects on the global baseball radar. What looked at first like a routine public appearance during an international development event may have quietly turned into one of the boldest recruiting moves in recent memory. According to several observers present at the showcase, the Dodgers' presence was far from symbolic. While multiple major league organizations had representatives in attendance, insiders claim the club's scouts and executives were unusually active behind the scenes. The moment that raised eyebrows came when the young prospect, widely considered one of the top talents in his class, spent an extended period speaking with members of the Dodgers' international department in full view of the crowd. Nothing official has been announced, and league rules make any immediate agreement unlikely. Still, the optics alone fueled speculation that Los Angeles may have just stolen a march on rival teams. Some scouts privately suggested the interaction felt less like casual networking and more like the early stages of a carefully orchestrated recruitment strategy. The Dodgers have built a reputation for aggressive and highly calculated moves in the international market. Over the years, the organization has repeatedly identified young talent before competitors fully mobilize their efforts. For many evaluators, this latest moment fits perfectly into that pattern, a public setting that disguises a very deliberate message. Rival executives reportedly left the event intrigued and perhaps slightly concerned. One veteran scout, speaking anonymously, hinted that the Dodgers might already have the inside track. Sometimes the biggest moves start in plain sight, he said, suggesting the team's confidence during the interaction was difficult to ignore. Whether this was merely a friendly conversation or the opening move in a much larger plan remains unclear. But in a sport where international signings can reshape a franchise's future, even a rumor can carry weight. And if the murmurs prove true, the Dodgers may have just pulled off a quiet heist in front of the entire baseball world. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.